Hi, I'm Coleen of Coleen Sews and Chats, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing the cat for the May block of the month. I hope you check out the other ladies in the dynamic trio, Melissa at Practically Creative and Sylvia over at You and Me FPP. We have a theme for the month every month, and then we each do our own take on it, and we don't know what the other one is doing until we've done it. So that's pretty interesting for us too, because we're surprised when the videos come out. So stay tuned. I took a pattern that looked really simple. It was a pieced cat, and I turned it into FPP. This will finish at 9 inches. I'm sorry, 9 inches is the unfinished. Once it's in a quilt, it will be 8.5 inches. Pretty simple pattern. I'm going to put the free links down below. Links for both the FPP that I've made and the original that inspired me to do it. Take your choice, the pieced one or the FPP one. Now, I'm just showing you how I always start my FPP. I color the pieces because I don't use colored ink when I print them. Then I cut them each out, and then I go through my fabrics and starch them. It never fails. Every time I think I've got everything like it's supposed to be, something's not right. I sped the starching up because, nobody wants to see how long that takes. It doesn't take long. But for the video's sake. Anyway, after I get the fabrics I chose starched, I start, while I'm at my cutting and ironing area, figuring out how should I best cut them, if I can. So that's what I'm going to be doing here, and I was just using some charm packs I had. In fact, I think they're Tulip Pink, Free Spirit, both. So I cut the lower half background into 1 3/4 inches. That way I knew I had enough to, make it all the way across the papers I needed. I did have to sew a couple together, so I had the length that I needed, which is fine. But 3 3/4, I had 5. I actually had 5 because that piece up in the corner. And I was just making sure that I did get the size of the piece plus the seam allowance when I cut these. And same with these, I'm going to have to sew a couple of these together for the background on the top half. The first piece on this is not something I have to go piece, so I'm just going to add that right to it. I'm going over 1/4 inch and cutting all the way around that first piece, pretty side down, numbers on the paper up, and putting that first piece on. And now I'm going to cut the 4th piece because it's a straight piece too. That way I already have that cut when I get over to my sewing machine. And the ears, believe I decided on 2.5 inches. One strip of 2.5 inches. And since this is only 2 pieces, I put all my fabrics that go with piece A on piece A and B on B. I give it a clip and head over to the sewing machine. Yeah, let's start with A. So I've already got my first piece down, pretty side away, an extra third. Piece 1, it's my background fabric, so it's down, my numbers are up, and I know I've got 1/4 inch at least around the edges, in case you doubt me. I know, honestly, I just did that for me. Okay, start with the 2 and 3. These aren't close to each other. It doesn't really matter which one you do first, but I'm going to go in order. That is not the right piece for that. I cut this 2.5 inches just because getting smaller pieces over here are easier for me to deal with. Now right sides together. What else is easier? I'm going to go ahead and trim my 1/4 inch past my number 1 fabric. What was that? Shape. That's the word I was looking for. Past the shape. 1/4 inch. I'm going to go ahead and get that off both sides. Just because it's easier for me. I think I've said before, if I haven't, I don't remember if I was taught this way or I adjusted to this way. That is what I do. Now, since my corners are at least a 1/4 inch over on either side of that, I'm just going to do it like that. I'm going to line pardon me, pretty sides together. Line the 1/4 inch up that I cut with the raw edge of the piece I'm putting against it. So I've got my 1/4 inch there, and I'm going to start here and end here. I usually use my 1/4 inch, but I didn't feel like changing or turning on the machine because that's fun. So on a Brother XR9550, I went it on stitch 1 because it puts my needle in the middle, and I dropped it down to a 1.4 or 1.6. This does not have a 1.5, so then I just leave, let's see, the lower number, the width is at 3.5, same, so drop it right on that corner, forward a few stitches. Now I'm wondering if I brought my bobbin up. I just changed bobbins. Backward a few stitches, and I'm going to do the best I can to stop at this corner and back up at that corner. Yeah, I didn't bring my bobbin thread up. Kind of bunched on me, and I didn't hang on to it either, and that's what happened. It sewed, it just made a little bit of a mess for me that was unnecessary. Okay, now I'm going to push the piece I just added, piece 2, straight back. And it's touching over here, so I know I've got my 1/4 inch there and there, since it's touching the outside of both of those fabrics. I know I did a good job on that. Maybe you'll hear me patting myself on the back. I mean, come on. Sometimes, if you want compliments, you gotta give them to yourself. Or you're a narcissist. Yeah. And I'm gonna go a 1/4 past that fabric I just added. And I'm gonna cut it. Hopefully I cut far enough that when I do the second cut, they meet. I didn't cut those threads off. It's okay. They will be there when I'm ready. And literally the mic is like an inch from my face. So if I'm yelling, I apologize. If I'm whispering, I apologize. Anybody with children knows the saying, you get what you get and you don't have a fit. Okay, that's one ear. And I'm going to put the other one on the same way. I'm going to pretty sides together, line them up on that edge that I cut, and I'm barely in the camera shot. I'm very bad about that. I'm trying to improve, I swear. I'm just going to hang on to them. You can pin them, you can probably glue them. I'm just going to hang on to them. Bring it over to my machine. Drop the needle. Oh, I do like to hang on to my threads. I'm just not doing a very good job of that right now. Forward a few, 1, 2 or 3, or 4, and then back the same amount. So you hit that intersection, and then stay on the line. That's all you got to do is stay on the line. Stop at the intersection, slow it down, back a few stitches, forward a few stitches. Since the last time I did one of these, I did a long, drawn-out talk. Okay, it's 15-20 minutes, I don't know. And that was to explain how I prep my papers. I am fast-forwarding through that and go onto here the next time. So this edge is coming to here. This edge is coming to here. I know those are both good. I'm going to cut my fabrics off. 1/4 inch, that's the fabric I just added. I'm going to go 1/4 inch either side. I think I meant both sides. Gonna go this way, okay? And there is a likelihood you'll cut your papers. I did when you're doing this. It doesn't bother me so much, so look right there. You can't even see it. I am not in the camera very well. Down here, I cut my fabrics. 1/4 inch this way. I think I just cut my paper again. Just so you can see what I took a little nick out of it right there. I took a nick out of it right there. Ain't worried about it. I took 1/4 inch all the way around this. That I don't think that's big enough for me to fiddle with, so I'm not going to keep that. 1/4 inch would pretty much take up that piece, and I'd have to be very careful if I was trying to paper piece it. So we've done 1, 2, 3, let's do 4. And 4 I cut just 1/4 inch over, just a size. Pretty side down. Line up with these because I've already cut them down to 1/4 inch. Take it. Pretty sides of the fabric touching. Your numbers up on your paper. Get over to your sewing machine. However you can get it there. I suppose you could call a friend if you want to come over and do it for you. That seems a little excessive. Sometimes I wonder about me too. A couple stitches forward. Stopped at the intersection, or started at the intersection, and then I'm going to stop it. Follow that line as close as I can. This foot is actually a lot easier to see through than my 1/4 inch foot for this, but it depends on my mood. Now, if you use leaders and meters here, might make it easier on you. I don't know. I'm okay with this. It bothers some people. And I would say if you're one of the people it bothers, use leaders and enders. And you see this? Can you see this? My thread came out of that bar. Probably something I did fidget in because it looks like it's coming down like it's supposed to, all good. That would have made some messy stitches. No, I'm not going to do that just so you can see what happens. I don't like that. Seriously, I made a mess like that. Okay, I'm going to press this back. You can press it with your iron. It's a little bit easier when I'm showing to not use my iron, but give it a good finger press. Pat your finger, your nail. My nail does tend to distort the fabric a little bit. I don't know if anybody notices or not. Now, number 5. I think I need to sew some fabrics together for number 5. Those are good, don't need to trim them. So I'm going to right sides together on these charm squares I cut. And I do have the 1/4 inch seam tape stuff on that I'm just going to use for this. And then the back stitch. Go as fast or as slow as you're comfortable with. Just because somebody else is going fast doesn't mean you have to. Just because somebody else is going slow doesn't mean you have to. What do we say? You do you. So I'm going to open that. Give that a finger press. Because it's intended to look kind of scrappy, so it's not going to hurt that these fabrics don't line up. They're exactly what I wanted. I am going to get this a quick iron because it's kind of in the middle. And my brain says that's the thing to do. I hope I turned it on. Several times today I've turned it off when I thought I was turning it on. And I had it unplugged. There we go. Now that piece is nice and flat like I wanted. And I starched these before I started. Is that enough? It is enough. So now I'm going to take this piece, put it up against the raw edge of the other piece, because like I said, I cut that 1/4 inch off. I know it's a 1/4 inch. I don't need a light box to tell me. Let's see if we can see through it this way. Oh, yeah, we can. 1/4 inch. Do I want a fancy light box? Yes. I probably wouldn't use it enough to justify the color. Forward or backward. Do not leave your scissors right there because that's dangerous. Unless you really want to look dangerously, then by all means you do you. I've got to stop saying that. I'm just hanging on to the other end. Fabrics are lined up. All this over here, it's okay. It's a little bit wonky. I just want it to fit there. I'm going to cut off whatever's left over. I started off the papers, did a back stitch, and went off the papers and did another back stitch. That doesn't belong there. So, I'm going to, the fabric I just added, I am going to push back. And because I already have it lined up, might as well. Use the iron. See how much nicer that makes it look when you use the iron. Ooh, I barely made it, didn't I? That's alright. Barely made it. It's just as good as pretty much perfect. And if you're a beginner, and I am still a beginner actually. I wish I had like lots of time under my belt doing this, but I don't. If you're a beginner, give yourself some grace. If it's not perfect, and if anybody else tells you, oh, that's not perfect, why don't you fix that? Well, you know what? It's a design choice. And it's memories of how far you've came. So leave it. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put 6 on. Aren't those just so pretty? The 1/4 inch that I cut off there. So turn it over. We all know what happens when I get cocky. Let's not do that. And I should have this piece of my machine on. It would make it easier, but I had the bed on it. So the extension table. And the extension table takes up too much of this table when I'm trying to do a video. Got that one, we've got this one, press it back, and it fits. And you know what, I'm going to move this right over here. I don't know if my camera, I think the videoing thing I'm using is cutting my camera off. Video editor. It's probably the way I don't know. Technical stuff, I'm not even going to try to explain it. But I think I know what it is. I kind of like close-ups though, so aren't those just pretty? So we have piece 1, A. That is A. Let's go on to B. I clean up as I go, otherwise I go crazy. I know I'm going to need these two sewn together, so I am going to do that. 1/4 inch-ish. Let's try this side. Ends together. don't think my iron's not hot anymore. Did I turn it off? I didn't turn it off. See? Some people can't be trusted. Cut them at 1 3/4. I'm going to take these two and sew them together for this bottom piece. I still do this. I keep trying to not do this. I still do this. Right. You can see better under here. Right here. I traveled right there. So it's not a right 1/4 inch. So, since I am trying, is any of that a 1/4 inch? Oh no. Since I am trying, I'm going to go back and fix that. I don't press open my seams. This is not seams. Not seams. I don't press open my seams. So that is not going to bother me in the least to have that seam closed right there. I press them to one side. Just works for me. So make sure I have enough down here. If this is short, I will add another piece from one of these. Okay, so let's start. Number 1. I told you I cut one of these there. Let's find out which one it was. It was that one. So number 1, doesn't matter. There's no wrong and right side of the solid. So I'm going to lay it down here. I should have done that on my prep table. It'll be okay. I'm going to go ahead and go a 1/4 inch past over here. Turn that off. I like to trim them as I go. I put a new piece on and such. Okay, and number 2. 2 is the pretty ones, and how do I want them to? I like that. So when I turn it over, yeah, put the pretty sides together. So for this side, we'll give me the pink on this side. Sometimes you need to strategize as you go. 1/4 inch together. Once again, got my 1/4 inch. Start at this point, end at this point. Well, my fingers were right where they needed to be. Stitch. These fabrics in my hand, so. This should go up just as one. I wanted to not iron it. Honestly, I wanted to not do it. My brain said nope. Didn't hear him today. Okay, now. So my first cut is going to be 1/4 inch past where the fabric number 2 ends. That line right there, 1/4 inch past. Got my hand slipped. Over here, also 1/4 inch past where that fabric Why is the wood so hard? Outline stops. That might be big enough for something, but okay. I'll grab a pen. I don't like how that's flopping. Right there. I'll cut that off later. So we have 1, 2, 3 is background, which I decided is yellow. Right? I may need to go cut me some more yellow chalk onions, but I need to cut off the 1/4 inch right there. Just gonna making sure I'm over the paper over here, because when this folds back, it's going to be lower. 1/4 inch. Ta-da! 1/4 inch. The intersection forward and backward. All the way up. Back stitch. Now that I've got that tacked in. And I'm going to trim this off. 1/4 inch on my right, 1/4 inch on the top. Make sure that I have enough fabric all the way around. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The piece that I just grabbed. Guess I'll show you what I'm doing. Lining my raw edges up, and if these were both pretty fabrics, pretty sides together. Drop at the intersection. Back stitch. So off with the back stitch. And this is, I have to look up which block it is. The block of the month with Sylvia and Melissa, Practically Creative, and You and Me FPP, who, by the way, has been very helpful in my FPP journey. She's starting to feel better, so she'll be back on YouTube in no time. Run over, say hi, give her some love. And Melissa too, because we love Melissa too. They know I love both of them. Anyway, this is the Dynamic Trio. Block of the month that I'm catching up on. At the time I'm making this, July's was an elephant. Is that my 1/4? That's right. What am I cutting? I'm not cutting anything. I'm supposed to be adding one here. Let's do that. Right sides together. How far off am I? Okay. This is just a smidge off on either end, and it's going to be in my seam allowance. And I did make this so I could trim it down a little bit and it'd still be fine. So, I'm not going to fuss with that too much. It's in the seam allowance. Do not give yourself a headache you don't need. Get my raw edges lined up. Well, anyway, we just did an elephant block of the month, which was fun. All of us have very different takes on them. Stick around, see what next month's block of the month is. I'm lining up my fabrics because I don't have my thing on here correctly. Some days I am better than others at following the paper line. Today's been a good day. I did go off there just a little bit. You can see, not the end of the world. That basically is my standard for not fixing something. Is it the end of the world? Nope. Okay, let's keep going. And see this? I told you I was going to be a little short on this side. Just a little short on this side. When I square it up, it's going to take care of that. I added extra so it could be squared up a little bit because I just... FPP does very well for that. I'm just finicky. And you know, if you have an end like mine, you don't have to worry about it being completely straight. There to that. Now you've seen I have lost very little of these fabrics doing this. So, and if you've got scraps, this is the hobby for you. Now we're going to put the cat together. I should trim that. I did not trim this earlier because I was going to trim it eventually. Okay. Now we've got them both like this. Pretty sides together. And then I'm going to start lining up corners. Now I could have printed the templates that have the little asterisks and stuff to line up. I don't find that necessary with the patterns I've done. Just line up your corners and it'll be fine. Got through both corners. I got my paper here, loosen down around the pin. It's a pin today. Stop closing my pins so I can get to them. Okay, now my fabrics still where they're supposed to be. This, I'm gonna go through this corner and okay, I'm a smidge off. It's all right. Anybody else? You did not run out for me. Tell Sylvia you did it. When she watches, she's going to laugh at that. Okay. Toss the papers in backwards before you hit the pin or take the pin out. These little snips are very handy. They're faster than scissors. Maybe it's just I'm slower with scissors. I don't like these little pieces because my seam allowance will take them up, so I'm not going to keep them. Unless she did like Sylvia did her elephant. That was cool. You should check that out. There's your kitty cat. Okay, I'm going to press it back. Put these in. My dinner's getting cold, y'all. Let's see. Let's see how big this is and how big I'm going to leave it. I have to pause, go eat dinner, and come back, take the papers off, and do this. But as it stands, this is 10.5 by 9.5, more or less. It's like an 1/8 short. Like I said, you've got wiggle room to get this just the size, which is going to be, I think I wanted a 9. Yeah, I'm going to square this down to 9. And I'll use this seam and that seam, but I'm going to take the papers off first so everything's nice and flat. Give it a spray after I eat dinner. And I will tell you where I got the free pieced pattern at to make it into an FPP pattern. Because I was trying to decide, do I want to do pieced or do I want to do FPP? I really like the lines on the FPP. But I will give you links to both. Alright, let's get the papers off. Start on the outside and see. 1.4, this is newsprint. It just comes off, very little effort. If they're too hard for you to get a hold of, like in seams, get some tweezers. Will save your hands. Especially after you, pardon me, if you have arthritis. That is what happens when you heat the glue on your fabric. That is not today's struggle. It comes off. And if you are in trouble, just give a little tug at the seams, fabrics, and they will let go. And this one's going to do the same thing with the glue. That wasn't so bad. Newsprint compared to the printable FPP stuff is very inexpensive. Compared to most, it's very inexpensive. Oops, look at all those pretty straight seams. This is Stay Flow. I actually do prefer Best Press because it lets me go over it with my iron while it's still wet without leaving dark spots on my iron. That's a me problem, not the product problem. People use it all the time. No problems. That just came off real easy. But also, no problem. Pull this a little bit just to make sure I don't get duck pleats. Is that what they call them? Whoops. Then I go and do something ignorant like that. How many times do you hear sewing YouTubers say the word ignorant? I am pressing all of these the way they wanted to be pressed. The way I took the papers out. Okay. And I go from the middle and kind of go outwards. Just seems like a better idea to go that way. I don't know. Don't know why. You watch as many people as me being able to remember where you heard what gets kind of hard. It's not personal. If I hear it, if it's the last or the first one I hear, I usually remember. So I was going to score this down to 9. Something's got to give, people. Looks like it's my sewing machine. There we go. Now I got some room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come an inch. My line right here from my fabrics, I'm going to use that. I use this seam line here, and that's what I'm going to do. Sorry, my arm is in the way. I do the same thing over here. I use this and my seam allowance. Now I'm going to go an inch over this side because I want an inch over this side. I've got the 9 right there. I am also lining up on my seam allowances. FPP gets it pretty straight. I do not get straight locks like this usually. And I always lose my points. So I've got the 9 here, I've got the 9 here, I've got my seam allowances. Oops. Voila. And the original that I saw, that this is mimicking, I guess. I don't know, I probably should have used all the same background on that. That's alright. That's alright. I'm not going to worry about that. It's still cute. I always find things that change after I do stuff. But anyway, the original was on Free Spirit. It was by Tula Pink, the Cheshire Cat. I loved that cat. It was so cute. That was the original. I took that. It was a regularly pieced. You know, like you'd snowball this over here, you'd snowball the corners over there, that kind of thing. I will put that link underneath if you guys want to use that one. It is getting closer to Halloween. Maybe you need some cats. That one's mine. And look how straight those are when you look through the light. And because a very intelligent woman said one time, friends don't check out friends' seams, that is my advice to you. Don't forget to check out Melissa and Sylvia. Sylvia is at You and Me FPP. Melissa is at Practically Creative, the other part of this dynamic trio. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us. I hope everybody has a great week, great weekend, great day. Take care and be the light you hope to see in others.